Roll call, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Starting with the pledge of the prayer. Man, new year, new me. So, starting with the prayer from Counselor Hall.
Okay, this is a bit unusual, but it was written by Chief Tecumseh, and he was one of our Native American chiefs from the Shawnee tribe. And I'm going to start the year with some of his speeches and poems. So, live your life that the fear of death can never enter your heart. Trouble no one about their religion. Respect others in their views and demand that they respect yours. Love your life. Perfect your life. Beautify all things in your life. Seek to make your life long and its purpose in the service of people. Prepare a noble death song for the day when you go over the Great Divide, but always give a word of a sign of salute when meeting or passing a friend, even a stranger in a lonely place. Show respect to all people and grovel to none. When you arise in the morning, give thanks for the food and for the joy of living. If you see no reason for giving thanks, the fault lies only in yourself. Abuse no one and nothing, for abuse turns the wise ones to fools and robs the spirit of its vision. So, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now roll call, please.
Counselor Hall.
Here.
Counselor Mangini. Is she no? Okay, she's absent. Counselor Matthews.
Here.
Counselor Pisner.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Santinella.
Here.
Counselor Thomas.
Here.
Counselor Ungary. Here. Counselor Zanoni.
Here.
Counselor Allegro.
Here.
Mayor Sakala.
Here.
And Counselor Crissati.
Here.
10 members are present, 1 is absent.
Thank you. Item 4 on the agenda is the fire evacuation announcement. In the unlikely event of a fire or an emergency, there's 2 means of exits on the council chambers. Exit out to the rear doors and walk a safe distance away from the building, or exit through the side doors and go down 1 flight of stairs, out the door, and again, a safe distance away from the building. Item 5, minutes of the preceding minutes. If I can get a motion for the special meeting of December 15th, 2025.
Motion.
And a second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve. Any discussions, additions, deletions? Sensing none, all in favor? 10 in favor, none against. And the regular meeting of December 15th, 2025?
So moved. Second.
By Counselor Crissati, seconded by Counselor Thomas. Any questions, additions, deletions? All right, sensing none, all in favor? 10 in favor, none against, and no abstentions. All right, next is special guest. The Enfield salutes our Veterans Banner presentation by Michael Kotner.
I guess we should have said, and assisted by Aaron Markovich.
Yes, and Aaron Markovich. Thank you. Take it away, gentlemen.
All right, let's see. We're going to get our slides going up here from beginning. Mike asked me to just give a brief introduction before he kicks off his conversation. As you all know, the America 250 Committee has been working on a variety of things, and Mike was working on his own sort of world of project, and we sort of crossed along the way and found that this was going to be a great project. And then on top of that, you all know that I have been working with Thompsonville to try to find banners and try to find different ways of doing things. I know in particular, I've talked several times with Counselor Pisner about these types of banners for veterans. So we came together and had a conversation, and I don't want to take any thunder away from him because he's got a great bit of material. I'll just try to play Vanna White and then answer questions at the end.
First of all, thank you again. Mike Kotner, 39 Circle Drive in Enfield, lifelong resident. Been volunteering all my life. Recently came into some free time, i.e. I retired. So thus I have time to really put this project forward. I recently joined Enfield Rotary as well, and was speaking to Amy Narada, our president there, and Joe Muller, and they're very supportive of the idea. In looking around various towns, I saw these banners, East Hampton, Mass., and talking to Marie a couple years back, she saw them elsewhere. I said, why don't we do this for this town? You know, my dad was a vet, as you can see on the slide here, during the Korean War. But I think it'd be a great opportunity with your support, with your help, to bring it forward to this group with that. Previously, as Aaron said, we had met with Matt and Donald, gave great input, good guidance here, and want to bring it forward to this group here. So I do have an example I'll pass around, I'll show it to you as well. But what we'd like to do is really, through the Enfield Rotary, we could build. There's a company that's a veteran-owned company down in Florida that will produce these. I did shop these banners around locally, and unfortunately the folks couldn't really touch the price to be able to do that. But this veteran-owned company has a very slick, very easy website, so we can have a very simple website built really fast. And the goal really is to partner with, as you can see, all of you, the town, America 250, Enfield Veterans Council, all the vets in town, all the vets organizations in town, and any others, really, to aid, promote what we want to do here, get the word out. I'll be happy to present to all these groups as well, and really just, bring it back to town. It's a good year, obviously, with the Enfield 250 to be able to do that. The opportunity. Sorry. Oh, you got it that way. Okay. Is in talking to Matt and Donald, really, my thought originally was we put them on Enfield Street, then there's the telephone poles, and Matt quickly brought up, say, hey, we don't own those telephone poles, we know it's Eversource, pretty hard to put up there. I think you guys may have been through that before. But they came up with a great idea, is why don't we make this area back here, and perhaps the street, and maybe elsewhere, i.e. Hazardville, where there's light posts, and get these banners affixed to those light posts, good clear maintenance of them, good line of sight of them, and then they came up with the even better idea of, people could walk around and make it an event as they're coming to 4th of July and looking at all these veterans amongst us, and to be able to really celebrate that. So there's a lot of good creative juices that were flowing that day, and to be able to do that. The easier part really is with the vendor being able to provide the website, we can open it up to the public. The public will be able to basically go on the website, put the veteran's information in there, upload a really good picture of the veteran. I propose we validate through the Enfield Vets Associations that they were honorably discharged, if you guys like that part, and also validate their criteria of where they serve, what they want to put on the banner as well. I also propose is we put these banners up 1 to 3 years. I don't know how long they'll last, maybe at least 1 year. But at the end of that term, give these banners back to the individual that bought them. Or they can have the option, say, let's rehang it. So I think that's an important thing is to be able to celebrate the veteran with that. The other cool thing is, as they work through this process, is how do we affix these banners, right? And I was pretty shocked to find out that just the brackets alone cost $60. So in talking to Donald and to Matt and to Aaron, just like, we could probably source those a little bit cheaper to be able to do that. So that's still on the table to be able to figure that part out. My intention with your support would be maybe we hang them from the beginning of middle of May or so to celebrate Memorial Day, and have them hang up all throughout until Veterans Day. Again, you guys can make that decision, but I think that's just an interesting idea to keep it up there. And then we'll have the banner stored, hopefully in a town facility. Again, they can roll up just like this. And then we bring them out for next year with that. A really interesting, good thing that this vendor has is they have what's called a Gold Star policy. So from any vet that's been killed in action from 1955 to present, or they committed suicide during the struggles of war, or folks that have just entered the services, they will give a free banner. So that's anywhere from, I think I saw 6 on the website, maybe for killed in action, 6 to 10 perhaps, but again, I don't know those numbers. The cost, I want to bring this cost down. I put 150 to 175. Currently, the banners without shipping, without brackets, is $100. So if we can figure that part out, I want to kind of price them out anywhere from 100 to 125. Now, they do raise their rates on March 1st because they want to get the orders in early. So everybody, the other towns that are doing this, it's a big production cycle. So there might be a slight $10 increase after that. And again, if we do these things in waves, we need a minimum of 30 for the first go around. If we get a second wave, if it's before March 1st, again, we'll meet whatever lower price we have. If it's after that, it'll be probably a $10 increase. But I want to price it as low as we possibly can so the folks out there, want these banners, they want to celebrate their veteran, to be able to do that. Digital file, again, I mentioned that we'll need a high-resolution digital file. The online ordering, again, through the website, we can set it up any way we want. The Rotary Club doesn't have a credit card operation, so they prefer just have a check sent to them. I'll have user admin access to that website, so I'll see everybody that's submitting, what they're posting and so forth. I'll have another Rotary person help me if there's anybody in the town that wants to be on the committee as well to kind of help us guide through this. To be able to do that, we'll be able to see a PDF proof before we go live with it. And then one thing that, I don't know, Matt, if we talked about, but in talking to the Rotary, if there's any residual funds, there might be, a couple $100 left over. I want to give them back to the vets here locally. So let me show you, if I may, and then we can talk about this. You might hold that part. And I'll pass this around. But that's the front of it. Again, with a better quality picture, you get a better image, of course. And then on the back is this. So it's a very thick, very, very well-constructed vinyl.
And what we also discussed was that we would probably add, or we would add the town seal and the America 250 logo on the bottom to show all the folks that are involved with that. Just to bring back and really clarify it so that folks understand this, the Rotary would be the one handling all of the money to pay the company to do all that stuff. The town's not involved in that in any way. The only real piece, there's only really two pieces that are involved here. One is if the town were interested in purchasing the banner brackets, which we would then own and we could use in the future, I would recommend us doing that, probably out of our TIF dollars. And then obviously we would have the cost of the DPW hanging them and putting them up, which they have experience doing this with existing banners. So that's sort of the request from Rotary on this. And as was mentioned, we had a very good discussion around the Eversource poles and the problems with those versus the town-owned poles. All the poles we're talking about are going to be town-owned poles.
Any questions, comments?
Thank you very much. I would say that I think this is wonderful. The town of Enfield celebrates and honors our veterans, every day. So having banners up, I think, is just an added way to really just to honor them. And I think using TIF money for the brackets is a great idea. So I can open it up. So we'll go to Councilor Matthews and then Councilor Pisner.
I definitely think it's a great idea, especially as a part of the America 250 committee. I thought this was an excellent project for us. I wanted to ask, though, the 30 people for the first wave, because I think this is going to be something that a lot of people in Enfield are going to want to have a part in. How are you going to prioritize those first 30 people?
Really? In terms of building? We can go to 50. I mean, you can keep going past 30.
Okay.
So you just need a minimum of 30.
Okay. I don't
build.
think that's going to be a problem.
Yeah. Hopefully not, but yeah, I would hopefully agree.
Yeah. Also, I understand, some of our organizations are limited with technology, but I would definitely suggest Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, something like that, so that people can, so you don't miss out. You might miss out on some money if you don't,
Yeah. I'll talk to Scott.
Yeah, very good.
So he, right now Rotary doesn't have the capability, but they can do something else
Yeah, they could.
outside of that.
I think they should. So, great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Pisner?
So my and I have talked about this a couple of years ago. He was helping me at the scrimmage, the Amy Romano scrimmage, and I had gone to Pennsylvania, and I walked through the town, and they had these hanging, but they were double-sided. So, but I think this is great too. But the ones they did were double-sided. So I said, well, wow, that could be my dad and my uncle on one. Or, but I now I'm in for two. So don't worry. I think it's a great idea. I agree with Maya. I think people are going to want to do this. I do agree that I think we should look into doing Hazardville as well, because let's face it, you know yourself, when you grew up, I was from Thompsonville, certain people were from Hazardville, people were from Skiddaco. And so, especially in that generation, that's where their loved one was, and that's where they feel. So I would definitely want to look into doing it there as well. But I think it's a great idea, and I will be in touch to do too. I just have to find a picture for my uncle. That's the one.
Just to follow up on that comment real quick, there was the conversation in the meeting from Donald. He, of course, has all of these poles mapped. They're all on GIS, so we're going to have to figure out a map and make sure, Rotary will have to pick those locations so the DPW knows where things are going.
So with that said, how many polls do we have?
I was supposed to look it up before I wandered in. The basketball game ran long for my son, but I think we were over 100.
Yeah, for sure. But I think back here is
Okay.
at least 50.
Okay, so no one will be I just don't want to turn people away.
I think I'll defer to you in terms of location, right? So it's a great idea to fill this back here if we can, but, put it in Hazardville, absolutely. It's a beautiful street. It would look wonderful.
But as long as we have like 100, I would think you're gonna easily hit that number.
The big conversation is going to be, we have some poles that are lower. They're not full-size lampposts, so fitting something like this is going to be more complicated. You don't want it to be down hanging very low, right? So we were looking at sort of half-size types of options and what that might look like. So there's some details that need to be worked out in terms of those issues, but basically there were a variety both on North Main, on the trail here on the campus, Hazardville. We were up over 100-ish in that neighborhood.
Yeah, I want to thank Donald and the crew for walking around and counting the light poles. So that was a pretty important task, but I think it was great.
Councillor Hall.
Thank you for this. I think many of us have seen these all over the country when we travel, and it feels like it's just the next step for us because we are such a veteran-directed community and support our veterans, and we have so many here. So just a couple of comments. I did have a conversation with one of our many organizations. He runs the organization. It was a off the books kind of conversation, so I won't say who it was, but you answered their concern. So they loved the idea. They just didn't want any organization making money off the backs of the veterans. Absolutely. And I said I would ask the question, but you answered it by saying any additional funds would come back to the organizations, which is, I think, a great idea.
100%.
100%. And as far as the flags themselves, I really would love to see consistency. So I hate to see small ones somewhere and the big ones somewhere else. I think that's going to be a little complicated and a little cumbersome. So I would like to see them all the same. And I think it's the other comment I have, and I know it's a town meeting. I think when people start driving through the town, like, for example, our neighbors in Summers and East Windsor and Suffield, I think we prioritize our local veterans from our town, obviously first, before we would look to outside towns to add. I think we're going to have more than enough from Enfield. Mm-hmm. So my thoughts would be keep it local, keep it, families that live in town that have veterans that they want to have on their lamp posts. I think it's a great idea. So I think you're going to get an overwhelming support for this project, and I think it's great the Rotary wants to take it on. So thank you.
Good. No,
Yeah.
it's exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councilor Ungary?
Just a quick comment. I just want to say it's such a great idea. I'm so glad you're doing this, and I want to thank Rotary for taking it on. And I've traveled in other communities and have seen them, and I'm so proud that we're going to do this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Zanoni?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just one quick question. So the fabric that it's made out of, you believe it's consistent enough that it doesn't need to have any holes in it for aerodynamics? Because I know that the ones at Enfield High were somewhat similar, and they got pretty tattered up pretty quickly.
Yeah, this company's been around for quite a number of years, so they've assured me that you don't need that. But I'll ask the question again.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's it.
thought.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Any other comments?
Yeah, just a quick question. So we have some banners now, right? Are these the same size? Are they compatible, or are we?
So again, a mixture. The Hazardville ones are about half the size of this because they're on those light poles rather than kind of the tall poles that we have here in town. So it'll be a mixture. I was making some notes here about we're going to need to kind of map out which ones are which kind. And on your consistency question, that'll have to be an important conversation. But yeah, it would replace the ones that are out there right now.
Okay, but I'm just asking, is this banner gonna fit on the bracket that's there now, or?
Well, that's actually what we're looking at, is we would replace all the brackets.
All of them.
With this, and that gets us all new brackets. It's consistent. We know how to install every single one of them. So that's what we're looking to do, is just remove all the existing brackets.
And then for future use, that is a standard size that
Correct.
we could go and get
That's right.
anything made for whatever occasion might
Yep.
come along.
Exactly.
Okay, that's it, thanks.
Thank you. Councilor Crissati?
Michael, there's definitely a reason why you're retired. Okay, so first of all, congratulations on your retirement. And for you to take on this type of a project, I think it's great. I am very supportive of it, however the brackets have to get funded, whether or not it's through the TIF funds or whatever funds that we have that would be available. The timing of this particular program was perfect. So thank you for this idea, and the Rotary and everybody that's involved and will be involved with this particular program. I think it's going to be great for the veterans and their families, and to even know that any funds that are extra will go to the veterans.
Yep. Thank you.
So it'll be great. So thank you, Michael, for this initiative, and very supportive of it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. It sounds like you have overwhelming support here, so if and when you need any council action, you just let us know, but we appreciate it, and
Thank you so much.
thank you. All right, next, public communications and petitions. As I look out into the audience, there is nobody there, so I am not going to read the announcement. We are just going to move on to councilor communications. Anyone want to go first, if they have anything? Yes, Councilor Allegro.
The Enfield for Education group had a collection and distribution this holiday season for mittens and gloves. And thanks to our businesses and our organizations and very generous residents, we collected, this was the first year we did it, 725 pairs of gloves and mittens. They were distributed before the holiday to every single public school in our community. So right through to the high school level. So, yeah. So I just want to thank our residents for being so extremely generous. And like I said, it was the first year. So hopefully next year we're going to include scarves and hats as well. Yeah. Thank you. Oh, yes.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I thought you had a question.
Councilor Pisner?
So this past Friday night, some of us were in attendance to the Explorers Family Night. It's actually my favorite event. And this year was very, very good because we found out that Lieutenant Pedamonte is going to be retiring. And he has been the lead advisor for the last 14 years. And he has handed the reins down to Sergeant Connor Wiley, which I think is a great choice. But it's just always a wonderful, wonderful evening, and I don't think people understand how much our explorers and our auxiliary give back to this community. I believe Lieutenant Pedamonte said 2,400 hours is what they gave back to the community this year in service. So that's a great number. And so again, I just wanted to thank them for always inviting us and including us. I want to wish, I'm sure we're going to see Lieutenant Pedamonte before his retirement because he has a few months, but I did want to congratulate Sergeant Wiley on his promotion. And the other thing that I just would like to let all the council know, I am going to be sending you all an email, but on January 16th, it's a Friday from 3 to 7 in these chambers will be the Veterans Council as part of 250. We will be celebrating our veterans from any war, any conflict that they were in, any time, even if they weren't in the war, anybody who served in our military. There will be a ceremony, and it's kind of just going to be a pass-through, but we are going to be asking all the counselors to attend sometime, if you can't be there the whole time, at least part of the time, just to congratulate them. So again, it will be January 16th from 3 to 7 here in council chambers. Unless it's bad weather, then it's the next Friday night. So just letting you know.
Thank you. Any other counselor communications? Counselor Crissati.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback a little on what Marie stated about Lieutenant Pedamonte. Congratulations, first of all, on your 16-plus years of heading up the Police Explorers and the outstanding job that you've done with these individuals. These students spend a real lot of time volunteering their hours and keeping up their schoolwork. So congratulations to all of the police explorers and the ones that got their promotions, whether they're a lieutenant or a captain or a group leader. And so Officer Pedamonte, thank you for your dedication to the program. And also congratulations to Sergeant Wiley, who will be the next advisor. So that's the first thing that I have to state. The second of all comment that I'm going to be making today, and I'm saying this as a committee member of the pre-referendum committee, and I stated that I would make a comment based on the December 17th pre-referendum committee held its second community conversation, and it was a virtual meeting. And the community conversation objective was to discuss where the committee was to date and to further discuss the options of the project that were being studied and the reasons for the direction of the project and the preferred options, and to answer questions from residents. It was also discussed back in November. They talked about the think tanks and had a cross-section of teachers, administrators, and residents, and I think Marie took part in that. Okay, and so the point that I'm trying to make is that this committee has worked very, very hard. The architects have worked hard. All of their updates, all their presentations, all the documents, all the reports, and they've been very transparent as to holding on and really disseminating the information. Tecton and their team have been working very hard. They present all of their material. It's readily available. We even make comments periodically up here on the dais. We also, all of the meetings and everything are televised. All the information is out there. But I happen to be a little disappointed in Ms. Turner, who is the chair of our Economic Development Commission. She's a member and I think also the chair of our Zoning Board of Appeals. And I really wasn't happy with her behavior at this meeting. I think she was rude. She was condescending to the architect and to our chair, Randy Daigle, with some of the comments that she presented. I think it is very unacceptable for her being a member of this particular and being very active and knowing a lot about what's going on here in town, and hearing some of the things that were coming out. As being a member of this committee, and also the members of the committee were not very happy with her behavior that night. If anybody's well-informed about information, Ms. Turner's always informed about a lot. So some of the comments that did come out of her comments, to me, were unacceptable, and whether she wants to give a formal apology to the architects or to Mr. Daigle, who heads up the group, I think would be something that we're kind of expecting. Next meeting is this week, January 7th, and once again, we're moving forward with this particular project. And the bottom line is all of the information, everything has to be done in a short period of time so that they can apply for all of their grants and moving forward with this project. And everything's moving forward with it very smoothly. And so we're just looking forward to it. But I'm just going to say that this committee really works very hard, and the architects really do a great job in presenting the information. And that's all I have to say about that. But thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other councilman communications? Deputy Mayor.
Okay. Thank you. So just a notice for anybody who had a live Christmas tree this year. The Christmas tree pickup is going to start on Friday, January 9th. So you need to have your trees, if you need to have them picked up, at your curbside by 6 a.m. And DPW will pick your trees up then. I also, I'm going to just put in my report of committees now, and we'll just do this all now. The Blight Committee is going to be meeting on Thursday. We are working on revisions to the Blight Ordinance. If the public is interested in hearing what's going on, the meeting starts at 4 o'clock down in the Skidco room. I have received many complaints about the blight conditions in town and asking what we're doing about it. So we're going to make some further revisions to the ordinance. We will have a public hearing the first week of February for the public to add their comments into the proposed changes. So I just want people to know about that. Next, I actually got a couple of residents writing to me asking about, there is a new rule at the post office. This is well above my pay grade, but people have heard about this on the news. People rely on postmarks to prove that they have mailed their bills on time, legal documents, tax returns, what have you. And there's been some discussion about changes in the post office that don't guarantee that when you bring your mail to the post office today that you're going to get a postmark today. And that could mean that your bills are late, and if there's penalties for late payment, it would trigger that. So I went to the post office today, talked to the postmaster here in town, and I asked him how this is going to impact residents of Enfield. And he said that it is business as usual here, that as long as you put your mail in the mailbox before the final pickup time, you should receive a postmark for that day. So there were some people who were concerned, and rightly so. There's other motives behind all of this, but we won't get into that. But that is what the Enfield postmaster shared with me today. So I just thought people might be interested in knowing that. He did say, if you absolutely need to have a postmark and want to be sure, go to the counter and have the clerk postmark it right there in front of you, and that's the best way to guarantee that. So, sorry, a little long-winded on that subject. Next, general government is going to be meeting on the 16th. One of the issues that we are going to be talking about is out-of-state license plates and what we are doing to mitigate the issue that we are having and have been having for a long time in town with residents who just are not registering their cars in Connecticut and consequently paying their required taxes to the town of Enfield. And we are going to be discussing that at that meeting on the 16th. If anybody is interested, I believe we're meeting at 8:30. 8:45 on January 16th. And those are my announcements. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Zanoni.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to briefly expand upon Councilor Crissati's update about the meeting with the pre-K through 5 school. I was one of the individuals who had asked questions there, and I think it's important to have a conversation so that the public is aware about some of the decisions that the committee is making, which I think are a cause of concern. The most being windows. I think it's important for people to understand, as someone who is an elementary educator, that having egresses in a classroom is incredibly important for the students, especially in younger grades. If students throw up, access to clean, open air in the event of an emergency, in the event of a fire. I was a little disappointed to hear that there was the belief that this was a security concern or modern code concerns when they had originally taken a tour of the 4 brand new elementary schools in South Windsor, in which all of the windows are open and accessible. I've reached out to Dr. Kate Carter, who is the superintendent of South Windsor Schools, to get more information as to how they came to their decision so that we can make a better decision this time. Enfield High and JFK's school windows do not open. As a student of Enfield High, when it was consolidated, I can tell you I couldn't even count on my hand how many times our HVAC systems have failed and that the conditions in the room and the temperature was not comfortable for students. Having windows providing students that ability, it is beyond important. And I think that it's important for residents to know that and reach out to members of the commission. I know I had spoken to members of our Board of Education as well as our liaison about these concerns, and people should take those concerns to the commission, because I don't think that that decision is being made with full facts in hand, especially given they put South Windsor up as a pedestal of a good facility, and all of their windows are accessible and open. And the most recent building, Pleasant Valley, opened 2 years ago and is up to code to state standards. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. No other councilor communications. Moving right along to town manager report and communications. Matt, welcome back.
Thank you. Happy New Year's to everyone. Thank you. You know, there was just a little too long of a pause there, but we're not going to redo it. A few things real quick. First off, want to let everyone know that we sent out invites earlier today to former council members from the previous council, inviting them to come to the meeting on January 20th so we can honor their service during their last terms, or multiple terms for some. So that will happen during the council meeting on January 20th. Secondly, I think I may have mentioned this back in the first meeting of December, but I don't remember for sure. So I'll say it again. Nathan Hale no longer belongs to the town of Enfield. We were able to do everything necessary on the closing. It's now in the hands of Hometown Property or something like that. Can't remember exactly who the new owner is, but it is out of our hands. And they are moving forward with a lot of project or work on the project. So we're very happy about that. Thirdly, the annex RFPs that we put out are due on Wednesday, January 7th. So as soon as we get those in, I will let everyone know what we received, and we'll kind of map out what the go forward with that RFP selection will be. And lastly, we are working to get town attorney interviews for the 14th, it looks like, is what's coalescing around. We don't have all the firms locked in yet. Hopefully tomorrow we'll get that. But right now, 2 of the 3 submissions have told us that they would be available on the 14th. So it looks like the 14th hopefully will be the date that we'll have those interviews.
Thank you.
That's all I had.
Thank you. Questions for the town attorney?
Through the
I mean,
mayor.
town manager, go ahead.
Through the mayor to the town manager. Nathan Hale.
Yes.
At the Fermi get-together we had the developer that's doing the work on Nathan Hale asked the question about the playscape that's still there, and if the town was interested in taking it and moving it to one of our other spots around town, wherever we may need one. Did that go anywhere, or did we talk to Public Works about that?
No, I
Because
did- I did-
It was a newer one, if
Yeah, I
I'm.
did mention it to Public Works. I got some feedback that they didn't think it would be movable. But again, I actually spoke with the new owner earlier today and gave me a little bit different information on it. So I want to sit down with them to talk about that. He also said that the backboards, the basketball court, and the scoreboards are also available to us.
Okay.
And I'll be following up with Public Works on those as well. So
Okay. I know
I don't have a definitive. I have a partial answer.
Okay.
But I just want to push back to make sure that, we have looked at it and,
All right.
what I was told to begin with is accurate.
Because it's not one of the old wooden ones, it's one of the newer
Yeah.
plastic ones. So if we can use it in one of the other parks, it would be great. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
If nothing else, maybe parts too. I mean,
Yeah,
if nothing
right,
else.
right, yeah. All right,
Okay,
thank
yep.
you. Thank you, Matt. Thank you.
Town attorney report.
Well, I didn't have anything to add, but I could make a public service announcement since Deputy Mayor Santinella brought up about the post office and change of their procedure on stamping envelopes. And insofar as the law is concerned, if you're looking for proof of mailing, you really don't need the stamp. What you do need is, if let's say you're paying a bill, and so you copy whatever you're putting inside the envelope, and then the envelope, as long as it is properly addressed and has the correct postage and a return address on the front, you photocopy that, and then whoever puts it in the mailbox, for example, would put initials and put the date and time you put it in there. And in the event that it was not delivered, the presumption of the law is you would have got it back in the mail because of your return receipt. And so the court regards that as a rebuttable presumption of mailing, not delivery, but it is mailing to show you actually did it properly. And that one, you don't need the postage stamps. And actually, over the years, I have used that several times because if you did everything you're supposed to and you give it to the post office, if there was something wrong with it or the person's not there to receive it, you would have got it back in the mail. So the fact you didn't get it back, rebuttable presumption that they've received it. So that's my public service announcement. Thank you, John, for letting me make that.
Thank you. All right. Reports of special committees, number 11. I know we've heard a couple already. Do we have any additional ones? Councilor Zanoni?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Joint Facilities will be meeting on Thursday at 6. I just wanted to give a brief overview. We just submitted the agenda yesterday. We'll be continuing a discussion on the roofs, and we had asked if John Daig from Enfield Schools can come in to help get us in line with whether our current intentions with the roofs are parallel with what we are doing with school modernization. There was also questions from some of my colleagues on the board about the status of the annex, and I see that the RFPs will be coming in. They had questions regarding facility usage there, and as well as our facilities master plan, which Joint Facilities had commissioned back in 2018 and has yet to been updated since then. Those are the three items we'll be looking for. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other committees reports? All right, moving along. Number 12, unfinished business. There is none. 13, new business. A, consent agenda is a zoning board of appeals reappointment in Rich Stroney and the resolution accepting community investment to 2030 funding. If I could get a motion to approve, if there is no motion to remove.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. No issues with this? All right, all in favor of the consent agenda? 10 in favor, none against. Thank you. Item 13B, town council appointed, there is none. Item 13C, resolution to establish the Charter Revision Commission. Whereas the town charter of the town of Enfield was last visited in 2025, and whereas the charter should be reviewed periodically to ensure that it continues to meet the current needs of the people of Enfield. Now therefore be it resolved that that the Enfield Town Council does hereby establish a charter revision commission composed of not fewer than 5, nor more than 15 electors, not more than 1/3 of whom may hold any public office in the municipality, and not more than a bare majority of whom shall be members of any one political party, to review and recommend changes or modifications in the present charter as it deems appropriate in accordance with Connecticut General Statutes 7-188. Date prepared, 12/17/2025, prepared by the Town Manager's Office.
So moved.
Second.
First and second, thank you. Any discussion on this?
Just a comment.
Deputy Mayor.
Sure. So for people who are wondering, okay, we just did charter revision, why are we doing this again? As we know, the charter revision proposal did not pass last time. And there was a tremendous amount of very, very good work that went into that process. What our hope is that this new commission will take a lot of that good work that was less controversial, that is also very important to make changes in the charter. For example, the minority leader position is a courtesy at this point. It's not ingrained in the charter, and it should be. And so that, as an example, is something that we should try to get that passed along with several of the other things that the commission did. So obviously, once we establish the commission can do whatever it wants. But we're hoping that a lot of the stuff that was necessary, important to us, will sort of take be front and center, and we'll be able to get this passed this year. And so that's why we're doing this, taking the second shot at this, in case people are wondering. Thanks. You had a question, Matt.
Not a question, but I do have a statement. Because of the tight time frame to get this onto the ballot in November, the next milestone is to actually appoint the commission, which we'd be pushing for the next meeting.
Yes.
Which happens very quickly, by the way.
That was the first meeting in February.
Was I thought we were going to go for the second meeting in January.
Well, hopefully we can.
Yeah.
Right?
February 4th, 2026 is the time. Suggestion. Okay, well.
Yes.
I think,
So
yeah,
let's
I
hope
think-
we can do it, right?
Yeah, I think we could go to the 20th,
Yeah.
but my point is that if we can get these administrative things done and get them working, they can hopefully spend more time looking at this if they need to. And so if we can compress the things that we have to do to get this going, we're better off.
Right.
You're right, we don't have to do it the next meeting. I'm just saying if we could do it the next meeting, it would be a lot better for them, give them time so they don't get under the gun, and it'll give you time then towards the end to go through this if there's some changes you want.
Perfect.
So we will be able to open up applications for charter revision tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay.
If this passes, we will do that.
All
yeah.
right.
Okay.
So if it passes, it'll be on the website, and then if it passes, perhaps we could put a Facebook post up
Yep.
and sort of reach out to whoever,
Yep.
Okay.
we collected. I don't know. I think we do press releases, but we could do something. It could go on the website.
We can do anything you
Yeah, it
ask.
could go on the website and things
As long
like
as
that.
it's legal and ethical, we'll do it.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Sensing no other comments, roll call, please.
Counselor Hall.
4.
Counselor Counselor Matthews.
4.
Counselor Pisner. 4. Deputy Mayor Santinella.
4.
Counselor Thomas.
4.
Counselor Ungary.
4.
Counselor Zanoni.
4.
Counselor Allegro.
4.
Mayor Sakala.
4.
And Counselor Crisati.
4.
10 members in favor, none against.
Thank you. Item 14, items for discussion. There is none. Item 15, any other business proper to come before said meeting? Deputy Mayor Santinella.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. I have 2 items that I would like to add to the agenda if the council will permit, and we can discuss them. There are 2 things. First is a resolution to terminate the memorandum of understanding between the Enfield Council and the Enfield Board of Education regarding the submission of payments of expenses and costs incurred in fiscal year 23 and 24. This is the memorandum of understanding that was put in place. I believe the original dollar amount was $1.7 million for excess expenditures, which the audit that was done pretty clearly shows us that a lot of what was incurred was unavoidable. And so we are proposing to terminate that MOU effectively this year. I have a draft of a resolution. Yeah.
All right, so a motion has been made to add this to the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
So after we have a first and second to add this to the agenda, now we can have discussion on adding it to the agenda. We don't need to have a discussion on the resolution itself yet because I haven't read it. We're going to have a discussion on adding it to the agenda.
Right,
So-
this is to suspend the rules to add an item to an agenda, yes.
So we've had a motion to suspend the rules, we've had a second, so now we can have a discussion on adding it to the agenda, and then we will have can we do a hand vote for this, or does it have to be roll call?
It does not have to be a roll call.
So then, is there?
It does have to be clear because it's a 2/3 vote of
Yes.
members present.
So maybe we'll just do a roll call here.
Yes, please.
So, perfect. Is there any discussion on adding this resolution to the agenda? I understand we have not read it because I'm not going to do that unless it goes on the agenda. Discussion on adding it to the agenda. Counselor Zanoni.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Respectfully, I think unless an emergency necessitates adding an item to an agenda and that this council cannot take action at a later date in which there will be minimal impact, I would not support adding it to the agenda. At this time, I do not believe that that is necessitating. I think any time that there is any type of item before this council that has a fiscal note added to it, extending the opportunity to properly notify the public to speak before it, I think is incredibly important. There are 0 members of the audience here tonight. I think there would be more here should there been fiscal opportunities that could impact the town of Enfield. So I respectfully will not support the motion. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any other discussion on adding this to the agenda? Counselor Hall.
So I have to agree with Counselor Zanoni on this one. I think when you're talking about what the public can't see right now, but it's a fiscal impact to the town, and I think unless it's an emergency and we have to act with no public input, typically this isn't the way we like to do business. We like to have the public notified of what's on the agenda, and especially with these particular items, they're big, big numbers. So I totally agree with Councilor Zanoni on this one.
Thank you. Any other discussion on adding the item to the agenda? No? Roll call, please.
Counselor Hall.
Against.
Counselor Matthews.
For.
Counselor Pisner.
Against.
Deputy Mayor Santinella. Counselor Thomas.
For.
Counselor Ungary.
Against.
Counselor Zanoni.
Against.
Counselor Allegro.
For.
Mayor Sakala.
4.
And Counselor Crisati.
For.
That's 6 in favor, 4 against.
Thank you. So that motion fails, and it will be on the agenda for the next January meeting, just so you're all put on notice. Any other items to go on the agenda? Deputy Mayor Santinella.
Yep. Okay. The second, thank you, Madam Mayor. The second item that we were hoping to add to the agenda, we asked the superintendent of schools to identify some expenses or costs that, or programs that we can immediately impact in the second half of the school year that he came back to us and identified a program. This resolution reflects what the superintendent's asks would be. I won't go into details, but I would like to add this to the agenda and then discuss further.
Thank you. There has been a motion to suspend the rules and add this item to the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Second made by Counselor Thomas. Discussion on adding this item to the agenda. Counselor Pisner.
So I'm going to just repeat what we said the first time, that this has got a very large fiscal impact on the town. And I don't see the urgency of doing it. We are right before budget. These are items that belong on the budget. So I do not feel, again, the urgency that this has to go on for tonight. I think people should have a chance to look at it.
Thank you. Any other comment? Counselor Matthews.
Thank you. I think that this is a wonderful resolution to add, especially because we did ask the superintendent of schools to come to us with a number and with a list of things that they needed for this school year and for right now. As we all know, the second semester has started. A lot of these kids are going to miss out on this opportunity if we don't move on it. And I feel so bad for them anyways with so much that we had to take away. This is not an exorbitant amount of money. They actually need millions to be made whole. So I appreciate the superintendent, and I appreciate his listening to what our residents have said they would like, what our children have said what they need, what the parents have said what they need, and I know that the Board of Education has also backed up this number and this list. So I don't believe it's the council's duty to get too deep in the weeds when it comes to recommendations that the Board of Ed has made, especially when we have asked them to make it. I will be in favor of this, as I am in favor of our students and enriching their experience in Enfield Public Schools.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Just a quick
Counselor Hall, go ahead.
Point of order. I think we're just talking about adding an item to the agenda. So we're not discussing the actual items that are on this proposed resolution, correct?
It's discussion on adding it to the agenda.
Thank you.
Yep. Counselor Crissati?
My only concern that I have in regard to both of them, I'm very supportive of education in general. And I've had the discussion with my colleagues here to say that it is important. You know, I am going to be supportive whether it was tonight or whether it's going to be next week when people can take a look at it and take a look at these resolutions and look at the dollar figures. We are excusing the MOU, number one, and we're also taking a look at items.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
No, that's fine. No, he can finish.
Just
He
hold
can
on.
finish. Thank you.
Just let me finish. You had your talk, Carol. And all
Point
right.
of order.
No, you just let me finish.
I think she's got to answer the point of order, Bob.
I acknowledge that you said it. Yes. Thank you. He's discussing on, so he just said he would support it going on the agenda now or later. And I believe Counselor Pisner started with talking about the actual fiscal piece of it. So we're not going to call a point of order on one and not on the other. So he's just going to finish,
I think
and
she
then we're
was
going to move
pointing
on.
out why she didn't want it on the agenda without any
Thank you, and this is
notification.
exactly what he's
So,
doing. So he'll finish, and then we will go.
Please keep it to adding it to the agenda.
It's the same thing, all right? And my point that I'm making here is, either way, having this on the agenda or not, we're going to be supporting it tonight. I am in favor of this particular resolution that's brought in front of us here, regardless if it's today or next week.
Thank you. Any other comments? Roll call, please, on adding it to the agenda, please, Sheila.
Counselor Hall.
Against.
Counselor Matthews.
For.
Counselor Pisner.
Against.
Deputy Mayor Santinella.
4.
Counselor Thomas.
4.
Counselor Ungary.
Against.
Counselor Zanoni.
Against.
Counselor Allegro.
For.
Mayor Sakala?
4.
Counselor Crisati? 4. That's 6 in favor, 4 against.
Thank you, Matt. That'll go on the agenda for next time as well. Public communications, there is no one here still. Counselor Communications number 17. Any further comments?
Yep.
Deputy Mayor.
Yep, so I would just like to comment on what just happened here for the public's benefit on the next meeting, since we can't seem to get it done tonight. We are going to be forgiving, we're going to forgive $1.7 million from the MOU that was in place with the Board of Education. Frankly, it just, one, doesn't make sense for us to give the Board of Education money and then they turn around and pay it back. And quite frankly, the whole circus that went on that precipitated this MOU from even needing to be put in place was just ridiculous and proven so by the audit that was done. So next week, we will be forgiving the $1.7 million from the Board of Education. The next thing that we wanted to do, it was a $285,000 expenditure. Among the things that were going to be added in was the 5th grade music program, which we will now be waiting a couple of weeks to put into place because we couldn't get that done tonight. But we will do that with 6 members' support, at least on this side. So that's what happened here tonight. I think that, frankly, the voters spoke about how they feel about our schools and how important it is to them. I don't think there needs to be a lot of discussion about this at this point. I think we know why we're here and what they wanted us to do, but unfortunately that doesn't seem to be clear to some people. So we'll do it again. So we'll do this again next week. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any additional counselor communications? Counselor Ungary?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. What I'm objecting to is this whole process of just, I have an idea, I think this is good for the town, I just want to pass it. We've had no time to discuss this. The process is incorrect. There's a lot of needs across the whole town, and this is our first meeting of the new year, and I don't want this to set a precedent that anytime someone has a good idea, we're just going to bring it up and vote it through, and because we want to. We all support education, so I want to make that known too.
Thank you. Counselor Hall.
I object to the visceral categorizing people as they don't understand what the voters did or wanted. There is a process for this, and I think you would probably get a lot of support for both these resolutions if the process was done correctly and allowed the general public to see what is going on and hear questions that really do need to be answered. And not to get too far into the weeds on this, the board has a reserve fund which is over $1.5 million. And the statement was made up here that we are going to do this. And with all due respect, you do have the numbers, and I'm sure you have 6 or probably more. You may have 11 votes for this in the end. But please don't categorize it as you are going to do it, because everything has to come to the council for a vote. And you probably will get votes on this side for both these resolutions. So I think the angry tantrums that happen aren't needed. I think we are all respectful of each other, and I think we need to respect the process, and that is all we are saying. So I hope the next agenda does include these 2 items. I think they should be discussed. I think there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. And if they are going on the next agenda, I hope we have the superintendent in the room to talk about these items. And especially the second one that was proposed, I can't wait for the board to discuss it before it comes to the council, because as I understand it, the board hasn't even had a public discussion on this second resolution. So there is a process. We need to respect that process, and we do understand you have the numbers. And as a council, we did not request what we can do midterm for the board. That was never discussed by this body. It may have been discussed by a caucus, but it was not discussed by this body. There are 11 people sitting here, and I think it's important to respect that. And we respect your numbers, but you need to respect the process, and that's all.
Thank you. Councillor Matthews?
I just want to make a quick clarification as well that nothing that was done tonight was against the actual process. It is a part of the agenda. It is something that actually, being a part of policy and procedure, Bob and I and Marie are going to have to look at. Maybe you would be suggesting that we take a better, closer look at that item to see what can and cannot be brought up under that. But I am under the impression that nothing wrong was done tonight procedurally. Maybe just maybe it could have been brought up in a nicer way, I guess, a more inclusive way, but nothing, I don't think anything was done maliciously, nothing in bad faith. We were thinking about the children and wanting them to get what they wanted to get, so I really hope that that is clear to everyone. We all need to kind of be on the same team here because we are all fighting for our kids, and just wanted to just make that clarification that nothing was done under the table or to make anybody upset.
No, definitely not, because Carol and I, we did have a conversation about it. So, Councillor Zanoni.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I think it's really important to draw a distinction between questioning the merits of an argument versus questioning the intentions of individual counselors. There's two people sitting on this dais that teach children every day. I'm one of them. I support education, but at the same time, I support the process. I'm an institutionalist. I believe anything that involves taxpayer dollars deserves the opportunity for members of the public to be properly notified about it. I do not think that there was anything procedurally wrong, but I think it's the merits of making the decisions that we have here accessible to members of the public. I've always supported education, but I will also tell you, I also have spoken to voters. I knocked, I think, probably more doors than anyone sitting on the dais. And I could tell you that when I spoke to voters, I heard support education. And that's why I'm going to support both of these resolutions next meeting. But the amount and to the extent in which we do so is very important. It is very important because our town is struggling. People are struggling. There's $75,000 in allocations for furniture that I have called into question. To some people, that may not be a lot of money. For me, it's actually 3 times what I make a year. So for me, I view it as a lot of money. And I think residents view it as a lot of money. And I think it's important that we ask questions because that's why we are here. If there was only a need for one Republican and one Democrat to make all the decisions, that's great. But that's not the type of government we have. We have 11 people, 11 independent voices to make decisions, and that's what I'm going to do and continue to do. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Motion to adjourn. Oh.
One more. Yeah, I guess this will be the final comment of the night. One thing in regard to both of these resolutions that were presented tonight. Once again, I will state that I do support, and I did have discussion with my caucus in regard to the timing of this. Was it presentable tonight to be passed? And there was reservation whether or not this was going to pass tonight. Okay, and from my point of view, I accepted because I'm going to accept next week. And so I'm okay with that. But I did have discussion with everybody that's in my caucus in regard to this, that this was a possibility that could happen. And that having it being presented and for us to be able to discuss this prior to actually tonight would be something that is very important, and that we are going to have a meeting with policy and procedures. We are going to discuss item 15 because, in the long run, we've had issues that have come up that resolutions were brought up and passed Some passed, some failed, and that was just part of this procedure. And tonight didn't pass. But like you said, maybe in 2 weeks, you're going to have 11 people agreeing on it. So procedurally, things were done correctly, just didn't pass. And we'll move forward with it, and that's the bottom line. And but once again, I will go on the record saying I support education. I've always supported education. This shouldn't have come to this, but here we are, and it's going to get corrected, period.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Or I can't make it. I'm asking for one.
I take
Make a
back my
motion.
second. I
No,
make a
you
motion.
can just make
Second.
the motion. Made by Counselor Thomas, seconded by Counselor Matthews. All in favor? 10. Zach, did you want to stay here, or are you in favor of us adjourning? All right, 10 in favor, none against. Meeting's adjourned. Good.